The spiritual quest has a magical quality which compels, defies, and disarms. It is not a sudden gush of emotions that can be turned on and off. It was the need to find the self which drove me, who was once a product of a very materialistic world, to embark upon a journey of discovery which has lasted 10 years.
She began modeling in Pakistan in the 80s, a time when modeling was completely taboo in Pakistan's conservative society. At the height of her modeling career, she gave it all up when she found she'd outgrown it. She then turned to directing, shooting and producing TV documentaries when women behind the camera were a rarity. A trip to Sufi Saint Shahbaz Lal Qalandar's shrine, meeting her spiritual guide Sheikh Nazim in Cyprus, sparked off her religious and spiritual journey.
The press has always played upon the supposed contradiction of a model who turns to spirituality. But for me, it was a natural progression.
Many call Atiya Khan Pakistan's first supermodel. 2 decades ago, her face was plastered on billboards across the country. But weary of the limelight, she retired at 21, then embarked on a study of Sufism. Her spiritual U-turn was a contradiction for many who viewed her as a rebel beauty queen. Using her superstar clout, Atiya plans to introduce a line of hip hijabs onto the Pakistan fashion scene.
इंटरनेशनल डिजाइनर्स और हॉलीवुड स्टार्स ने सर कवर करने के कई ट्रेंडी और फ्रेश स्टाइल्स क्रिएट किए हैं. I will show you how to get it right in Sunsilk Fresh Trends.
Was there a seed, a hidden motivation that urged me onto this path? They say blood is thicker than water. What did that mean? Was I somehow programmed to seek? I learned about sacrifice from my family. My father's brother was a shaheed or martyr, Zafar Khan, commander of the submarine Ghazi, which was deployed on a suicide mission. My earliest memories are of our family trying to come to terms with the funny and handsome man, announcing that he will never be coming back. My grandfather was Sayyid Qasim Rizvi, the radical leader of the ruling political party of Hyderabad Dakkan, the richest and most powerful state in India, who refused to concede the state to the Indian Union and led a resistance armed by the youth from the elite Muslim families willing to lay down their lives for their right to remain independent. It ended in tragedy where a whole generation was massacred. But he was from the family of the Prophet and believed that sacrifice and suffering were part of his inheritance. His daughter, my mother, also takes on the powers that be as a member of Pakistan's National Assembly.
नफरतें, नफरतें, 60 साल की नफरतें. I cannot take this anymore. समझे ना, ये मुल्क को आप क्या दिया इन लोगों ने? आटा दिया, तेल दिया, बिजली दी, पानी दिया. क्या झगड़े हम लड़ रहे हैं? क्यों नफरतों की बातें कर रहे हैं? I am ashamed of being a Pakistani, sir. Do you, this ping pong game of you did this, my government this is, your government is that, their government is that. 60 साल, sir, is a lifetime. मेरे 4 generation गुजर गए हैं. I am a grandmother now. Nothing has been solved for the masses of this country. 98% people are still asking for atta.
So maybe it was inevitable that I too would end up questioning and challenging all that we take for granted, even at a risk to myself and my loved ones. Ten years ago, I had gone on a trip that I, till today, have not recovered from. A mere 4-hour drive from my hometown Karachi in Pakistan lies a magical land filled with fascinating stories about the saint Usman Marwandi. Lal Shahbaz Qalandar. After visiting his shrine in 2001, everything changed. My life, my world, my understanding of Islam. I was propelled into a realm where mystery, guidance, and a new reality took over, and all I could do is surrender to secrets, legends, myths, and awakenings. At the same time, my country, Pakistan, was also awakening to a very different kind of reality in the new world order, where Islam was suddenly the biggest threat to world security.
Has just hit a hill and
there is more and more fire and smoke.
And we were being labeled as the breeding ground for terrorism and Islamic fundamentalism. This highlighted the need to try and promote the message of Sufism as an antidote to fear and hate. I was therefore commissioned by a fellow Sufi friend who had a media concern to go and film the death anniversary celebrations of Lal Shahbaz Qalandar. He was a very popular but mysterious and enigmatic Sufi saint who had died in the 13th century and was buried in the remote, ancient deserts of Pakistan. Red Falcon is the patron saint of the Malangs, or the intoxicated ones, a radical type of Sufi fraternity who have traditionally been both feared and respected by everyone. Kings and commoners alike have revered them, as they are famous for having the power of karamat, or miracles. And to be cursed by one of them is said to mean certain destruction. They are considered beyond the constraints of conventional religious laws. Which are a man-made understanding of divine law, as they are said to have direct access to God. These powerful and unconventional beings somehow adopted me and have had a great influence in my spiritual journey.
ये बेटा मत क्या फकीर का फिलहाल कलम में है, दम में है, आदम में है, दिन में है, हर दिन में बेटे समझने की बात। ये तो बुरा बहुत दूर है। ये तो बुरा है ना, बहुत दूर है।
बुरा
समझना तो बुरा है। ये लतीफ का जो बोला तो है तो अभी मेला नहीं लगा। तार अब लतीफ बताई बिट वो उसका तो बुरा है। ये तो है तो
तू मुझे पता है।
मारे के नहीं ये तो
जैसे वो आदमी वो बीमार हो गया था, तो मैं बीमार हो गई थे।
नहीं कुछ नहीं होता बात है। कुछ नहीं होता
सच्ची बात?
आस्ता आस्ता
आहिस्ता आहिस्ता
नहीं ऐसे ये ऐसे तो फिर घूमेंगे डिग पे चोट लगे।
सही है।
हाँ बस ठीक है, आप खुश है ना?
हाँ।
बस
अब मेरी दुआ पूरी हो
बस
जाएगी।
ठीक है ना, आगे
हो
से
जाएगी?
ऊपर से घूम के आओ। ऊपर से बेटे घूम के दुआ मांगो, मालिक से सजदा करो, मालिक से सजदा करो। मौला
कहाँ से करूँ? इधर से
सजदा कर मालिक, जब तेरा करके ऐसे खिलाओ।
They have been making a very difficult pilgrimage for over 800 years. At the end of the annual celebrations of Red Falcon, through one of the most inhospitable terrains in the world, walking for 20 days from the deserts of Sindh to the rugged mountainous regions of Balochistan. To a cave called Lahut Ka Maqam, or the angelic realm. Those that survive the trek believe it to be HU AKBAR, equal to 7 Hajj. The Hajj is the most sacred pilgrimage meant to be carried out by every Muslim to Kaaba, the house of God in the holy city of Mecca. The word Hajj comes from Hajra, the second wife of the Prophet Abraham, and is the reenactment of her struggle. She was abandoned together with her son Ishmael in the desolate deserts of Arabia due to the jealousy of Abraham's first wife, Sarah. They survive, and from them comes the bloodline of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad. While Sarah's son Isaac is the forefather of Jesus.
जंगल पहाड़ कहते हैं नादे अली अली, मुश्किल को मेरी हल करो मौला, मुश्किल कुशा अली अली, मुश्किल कुशा अली अली, दुआरे पियो में आरे झूमो सा.
The Malangs had been insisting now since 2001 that I too must make this journey, but it is only now in 2011 that I am finally on my way.
सितारों का
These 10 years have seen a lot of unrest and turmoil in my country, and Balochistan is one of the most troubled areas in Pakistan. A tribal no man's land, strife with militants, insurgencies, and civil unrest, serving as a hideout for the criminal elements escaping from the law. One just did not venture into these areas without heavy protection from the authorities, which they were not willing to provide for me. But Mama the Malang came to my house and insisted that I can no longer delay this trip. that God will protect me. Lal Pari, or Red Fairy, a female Malang, is sent by him to accompany me. She is famous since her story has been documented in William Dalrymple's new book, 9 Lives. So despite severe warnings from family and friends, here I am.
माँ का पेट है ये है माँ का
और बीबी फातिमा का घर है।
हाँ जी वहाँ घर है वो बैठे के मौला मुश्किल कुशा गया बैठे के ऊपर
I am told that the reason this cave is so sacred is because Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, made it her home. This is of course a very strange claim, as she is known to have lived and died at a young age in Mecca. But for some reason, these Sufis believe that together with the house of God, the Hajj, now the most important female figure in Islam, have moved to a cave in the middle of nowhere. I'm very skeptical about these claims, but curious to talk to the people we encounter on the way to try and understand how the common man explains the mystery of their prophet's daughter coming here.
भाई इधर आओ, इधर आओ। तो बीबी फातिमा यहाँ आई थी। हाँ
आई थी यहाँ पे आसमान से
आपको क्या लगता है कि वो जैसे जिंदा औरत जैसे चल के आती है वैसे आई थी या उनकी रूह आई थी या किस तरह से आई थी वो?
वल्लाह बेहतर जानेगा जो हम दौर में थे वही।
नहीं आप लोग के जो बड़े हैं यहाँ इस इलाके में जो रहते थे उस जमाने से आपके होंगे ना बड़े इधर रहते होंगे वो लोग क्या कहते थे?
खलीफा उधर ही है ना नूरानी पे।
हाँ
उसको सब कुछ का पता है।
क्या हो गया ये चलो कदम है कदम मुबारक है अच्छा
The first stop on our pilgrimage is a place which displays a sacred relic, the supposed footstep imprints of Hazrat Ali. Hazrat Ali is the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. And was married to Fatima, who is said to reside in the sacred cave. He is the first spiritual leader or imam of all Muslims and the master teacher of all Sufi groups. Except the Sufi group that I belong to, the Naqshbandis. Which trace its lineage to Abu Bakr Siddiq, the first Khalifa or political leader of Islam, who was also the father-in-law and friend of the Prophet Muhammad. The split in Islam can be traced back to these two figures. Immediately after the death of the Prophet, there was a dispute regarding who would be his successor. While the Sunnis supported Abu Bakr and the subsequent 3 Khalifas, the Shias, or supporters of Ali, felt that Ali was not only the rightful spiritual leader or imam, but should also have been the rightful political leader or Khalifa of Islam. And that the other three Khalifas were, in fact, usurpers of the title. This infighting had fractured the very fabric of the religion. And even though Ali eventually became the fourth Khalifa, his rule was immediately challenged and ended in tragedy. Ironically, the opposition was led by the family members of the other Khalifas. Thereafter, the Muslims were led by men more concerned by worldly power than God and guidance, while the religion was entrusted to paid clergy that did the bidding of the rulers. The family of the Prophet, or the descendants of Ali and Fatima, officially retired from politics and religion, and instead became the spiritual leaders of the Shias and the Sufis. Therefore, Sufi groups have always stayed away from mainstream religion and politics. The Naqshbandis, however, have always been very active in both these areas. I heard of the head of the Naqshbandi system, Sheikh Nazim al-Haqqani, in January 2001, when I was visiting Canada, and was immediately drawn to him and wished I could meet him. But he was in Cyprus meeting heads of state, and I was on my way back to Pakistan. 3 months later, under the most unlikely circumstances, he sought me out and organized our meeting by sending his followers to get me from my home. I knew then that he was operating from a place beyond the constraints of time and space. I took him as my teacher, and within months, my whole life was completely transformed. I had grown up very aware of the challenges of trying to combine religion with politics, and so was very comfortable with the Naqshbandi way. But the Malangs were a different ballgame altogether. And even though I felt they were going to be central in our understanding of the true message of Islam, I was also unsure how to express their doctrines without being labeled a heretic. Next to the shrine of the saint now stands a mosque, the students of which have routinely been harassing the Malangs and the common people. They are said to have killed some of the most prominent Sayyids or descendants of Ali and Fatima to instill fear and discourage any opposition to their ways. I decide to interview their leader to see how they reconcile their doctrine with the legends of this place.
लाहौर की जगह में निशानात जो पाए जाते हैं वो पंचन पाक से तकरीबन मुंसलिक हैं। इसके इमाम आली मकाम में इनका झूला मुबारक है या बैठक कही जाए। इमाम खातून जन्नत रज़ी अल्लाह ताला की भट्ठी मुबारक है जहाँ से रोटी वगैरह पकाई जाती है। और अली मुश्किल कुशा रज़ी अल्लाह ताला की घोड़े के दाने खाने का भी एक मतलब कि वो सिंधी में उसको आहरा बोलते हैं और एक ऊँट की निशानी है जिससे
I was surprised at how much of the legend he had actually endorsed. I had expected him to be completely opposed to such a claim. And here lies the dichotomy in Islam. Differences seem to dissolve in the most unlikely areas. The Sufi system is all about adab or manners and giving respect where it is due. So before we get to the main saint, we have to pay our respect to his servant. Every shrine has a keeper whose duty it is to look after the shrine and maintain the knowledge that has been passed down through generations. From these keepers, we learn about this preserved knowledge.
नाम का राज है। आपका बंगले में हम नौकरी करूंगा, अगर घर का बात बाहर बोलूंगा तो आप रखेंगे मुझे? नौकरी में रखेंगे? ये बात राज की।
कलंदर मस्त झूलेलाल। ये दर मुस्तफ़ा है, ये दर हैदर है। और ये घर से कोई खाली नहीं जाते। हमारे जो दिलों को तमन्ना है वही पूरा करने वाला है। दुनिया बनी है नीले पलक की चादर टानी है, नीले पलक की चादर टानी है। तू अगर ना होता, तू अगर ना होता, दुनिया है खाली, सारे नबी तेरे दर पे सवाली, शाहे मदीना।
I knew this was just another challenge that the Malangs had thrown my way. Just as I was barely recovering from what they had exposed me to so many years ago. Lal Shahbaz Qalandar, or the Red Royal Falcon, who made a long journey from his hometown in Iran to a fabled place called Shivistan, now known as Sevan. The elders told him he was not allowed to enter the city, which was already full of spiritual authorities. It was, after all, the center for the pilgrimage of the Hindu god Shiva. It housed his temple and the shrine of the last avatar or reincarnation of that god, Rajabheti. So Lal had to make this cave his home, and from here begins a story that goes back 800 years. A story that still inspires common people who come here full of hope and devotion to ask the saint to intercede on their behalf and grant their wishes.
ये क्या बेच रहे हैं आप?
शाबाश
ये शाबाश खान की तस्वीर है। पढ़ क्यों है? कहाँ ओढ़ रहे हैं? कैसे ओढ़ रहे हैं?
बस अल्लाह के काम है।
यहाँ से क्या करना है? यहाँ बहुत सारे लोग आते हैं जिनकी मुरादें पूरी होती हैं। हर किसी की मुराद पूरी हो जाती है। ये कैसे हो सकता है? सही? क्या मतलब?
मतलब ये कि खुदा भी मैं और खुदा का वजूद मेरा वजूद एक है।
ये तो बहुत खतरनाक बात है।
शिर्क किया तो कुफ्र में जाते हैं।
ये कहता है कि मैंने अल्लाह को इस तरह राजी किया है कि मेरी हर बात मानी जाती है।
हर बात मैं खुद मनवाता हूँ।
I found these kind of statements difficult to digest till I remembered a hadith or saying of the Prophet, where God is quoted as saying, "My devotee keeps drawing closer to me till I become his hearing, his sight, and his action." The whole purpose of the spiritual path, according to the Sufis, is to kill the ego, which is what separates us from God, by surrendering our will to the will of God, so that we become channels to manifest His will and desire on earth.
बहुत कब्रें हैं नहीं आते, अगर जिंदा हैं किसी को बुलाते हैं तो आते हैं ना, ऐसे कोई भी नहीं आता बाबा। जैसे रसूल पाक भी जिंदा ही हैं मगर इस दुनिया से सिर्फ पर्दा ही पोश हो गए, इसलिए ये भी हमारे मालिक जिंदा ही हैं मगर इस दुनिया से पर्दा पोश हो गए। हर किसी का अपना अपना अकीदा है, हमारा अकीदा इसी में मुकम्मल है, हम इसी पे ईमान रखते हैं। जिनका अकीदा इस पे नहीं है नहीं रखे ईमान, हमारा कोई ज़बरदस्ती उनसे कोई भी बात नहीं है।
At the same time, I realized that this place was going to openly challenge conventional concepts of Islam. Deeply rooted in the veneration of the Holy Family of Islam, the Pure Five. The Prophet, his daughter Fatima, son-in-law Ali, and their children Hassan and Hussein. It talks of the tragedy of Karbala, the hijacking of the religion, and the subsequent persecution of the leaders from the descendants of the family. The divinely inspired imams, all of whom were assassinated. Till the 12th and last, Imam Mahdi was veiled in the 9th century, prophesied to return together with Jesus to herald the kingdom of heaven on earth. Just as the Mahdi went underground, a new movement surfaced, the Qalandari movement. As a protest against the imperialism, puritanism, and self-righteousness that had imprisoned the true spirit of Islam. They sought to break free of the chains of dogma, rituals, customs, norms, and rules that create separation. They rejected outward shows of piety, in fact, often courted criticism, to help keep their egos in check, and preached a message of divine love, rapture, and oneness. The first Qalandar was, in fact, a woman, Rabia Basri, who inspired all subsequent Sufis with her passionate pleas to love God for himself, not in the hope of reward or the fear of punishment. Lal Shehbaz Qalandar was an heir to this legacy, a direct descendant of the Holy Family, on a mission to spread the true message through drums, dance, and song.
आप देखें कि एक हल्का मातम का लगा हुआ है, दूसरी तरफ से डोल वाले आ रहे हैं, वो अपने कीदे की तरह से आ रहे हैं, अपने तरफ से आ रहे हैं, मातम वाले अपनी तरफ से आ रहे हैं, वो अपना कर रहे हैं मिशन, वो अपना, किसी को किसी पे अटैक नहीं है, या किसी को ये नहीं कह रहा वो गलत कर रहा है, या किसी को वो नहीं कह रहा, सब एक हैं, मुत्तफिक हैं। यहाँ पे हिंदू आते, ईसाई आते, कई अंग्रेज हमने देखे।
Millions come here year after year at his annual death anniversary celebrations, which turns into a surging wave of dance. That sweeps everyone into an altered state of being, where love prevails and differences dissolve. Sunni, Shia, Matan, Dhamal, rich, poor, all together as one. The saint spoke of this when he wrote, "In the resting place of oneness, why are we so many? For we are also one. You will see, I will give the message with such intensity that thousands upon thousands, lost in their differences, far from me, when they come to me, will dissolve into oneness."
यहाँ किसी किस्म की कोई सख्ती नहीं है, कोई मुमानत नहीं है। हर फ़िक़े का शख्स आके अपने फ़िक़े के मुताबिक यहाँ नमाज़ पढ़ सकता है, यहाँ इबादत कर सकता है, कोई किसी को नहीं रोकता। और अगर कोई गैर मुस्लिम आता है तो अगर वो अपनी खुशी से यहाँ मेहंदी लेके और आके हज़रत कलंदर लाल शहबाज के हुजूर चढ़ावे के तौर पे नज़र करता है तो वो उसकी खुशी है, ये इसका बिलीव है। हमें बहुत खुश होना चाहिए कि ये दुनिया की वाहिद दरगाह है जहाँ पे कि दुनिया के हर मज़हब के लोग आते हैं।
Drenched in divine love, moment by moment, In fire, in dust, on thorns, I dance. Filled with divine secrets, I sway, I dance. I, Usman of Marwand, friend of Mansoor, I do not fear crucifixion, I dance. The dance or dhamal means to announce or proclaim and has a significance beyond the obvious. It is meant to symbolize a crucial moment in time, the Battle of Karbala.
तो किसी ने सरकार से पूछा कि सरकार ये कैसी धमाल है जो आप एक पाँव उठाते हैं और इस तरह एक पैर रखते हैं, तो आपने फरमाया था कि ये वो याद है कि जब इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम अपने बेटे शहजादा अली असगर को लेकर मैदान करबला की तरफ निकलते थे, फिर खैमे की तरफ वापस आते थे, फिर निकलते थे, फिर वापस आते थे। सरकार ने फरमाया ये वो याद है उन कदमों की, दरअसल ये मेरा मातम है, लोगों को दिखाने के लिए मेरी धमाल है।
Ali eventually became the fourth Khalifa, but was challenged by Muawiyah, the nephew of the third Khalifa, for not bringing his uncle's killers to justice. Aisha, the youngest wife of the Prophet, daughter of the first Khalifa, Abu Bakr, had earlier waged war against Ali, weakening his position and paving the way for Muawiyah's revolt. Ali was assassinated, and Muawiyah became the fifth Khalifa of Islam. Ali's son Hussein was then persecuted by Yazid, the son of Muawiyah, for refusing to accept their rule, which resulted in Karbala, where Hussein and the family were massacred. Except for his sister Zainab and son Zain, they are captured and made to march in chains from Iraq to Syria, accompanying the severed head of Hussein. To be presented at the court of Yazid. Ironically, this is the same court where 600 years earlier, the severed head of John the Baptist was presented to Herod. John the Baptist was the cousin of Jesus and the one who had baptized him. Same place, different times, and two very different women. One slays a prophet and dances in joy. The other demands justice for the slaying of her brother, the Imam, and makes every Muslim weep. It is because of Zainab's fiery speeches at court, reprimanding her tormentors, that the story of Karbala became known to all. The foot movements symbolize her steps as she is made to walk barefoot on the burning desert sands. The head movement symbolized the moment the veil is snatched from her head. Her protection, her honor taken away. And in this dance, millions become the daughters and sons of Islam who have been dishonored by a cruel ruling elite. The dhamal is a feeling, it's a protest. It says, I know who you are, I know what you did. And I await the day that justice will be done. While the masses come to be healed by a kind of catharsis, it's the malangs that keep the peace. Feared and revered, they are said to carry special powers and therefore have the authority to speak where others have been intimidated into silence.
तो कलंदर किबरिया तो वो चीज़ है जो समझ ही नहीं सकेगा कि कलंदर क्या है, या तो खुद खुदा ही है। कहीं कलंदर कहता मैं अल्लाह का सर हूँ, कहीं कहता मैं अली के दरवाजे का कुत्ता हूँ, कहीं कहता मैं जब हजूर मेराज को गए मैं उस जगह मैं खुद बाज बन के बैठा था।
I am the red royal falcon that has no fixed place. Always in flight, I cannot be restrained. I am the phoenix that cannot be contained in any symbol or form. The man who was refused entry into Shivistan was soon hailed as the reincarnation of the very same god Shiva that the city was named after, who dances the world into creation and destruction. He healed the deaf and blind, fed thousands from a loaf of bread, and even resurrected a dead devotee called Podla Bahar. There are whispers of a woman known as Lal Koal or Red Bride, a temple priestess who is the first to worship the saint and announce that he is the God incarnate. The Hindus see Shiva, the Christians see Christ, the Muslims see Ali, but he is Qalandar, a being free from time and space, a consciousness, an awakening. I left Sevan intrigued and perplexed. The secret doctrine of the Malangs claimed that Adam, Shiva, Ali, and Lal were in fact the same being, coming to earth at different times. But how could this belief possibly fit into Islam? I began looking for answers and came across a concept that seemed to fit. The Islamic and biblical tale of Ashabul Kahf, or the sleepers of the cave, which describes a group reawakening every 300 years. But I needed to know how this concept was viewed by different religious authorities.
कौम जो उनका कलमा पढ़ती है उनको उनकी उम्मत कहते हैं।
आए इस ईमान को समझने की कोशिश करते हैं।
And how it would be received by the general public.
Speak up, Pakistan. Let's talk about Islam.
The religious program Zikr that I was conducting provided the perfect opportunity. Welcome to another episode of Zikr. आज का हमारा मौजू
Atta says she feels the need to use her privileged position and her experience with the media to do a television show called Zikr about Islam and its various facets, to help break down stereotypes about the religion, both in her own country and in an increasingly polarized world.
कुरान शरीफ में कुछ ऐसे किस्से हैं जो आम समझ से थोड़े हटके हैं। इनमें शामिल असहाबुल काफ की कहानी है। कुछ ऐसे नौजवान जिनको अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला ने 300 साल के लिए या 309 साल के लिए सुला दिया। या फिर आप ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम का कॉन्सेप्ट ले लें कि जी अल्लाह ने उनको मौत दिए बग़ैर अपने करीब बुला लिया और कहते हैं कि वो आखिरत की निशानी बन के दोबारा दुनिया में वापस आएंगे। ये कैसे मुमकिन है कि जी 300 साल के लिए किसी को सुला दिया?
अल्लाह की कुदरत से अल्लाह चाहे 300 साल हज़ारों वर्ष सुला दे, अल्लाह के इख्तियार में है।
ईसा अलैहिस्सलाम का उठाया जाना, ये जनाब इलियास अलैहिस्सलाम का, जनाब इदरीस अलैहिस्सलाम का ज़िंदा रखना, जनाब कि जो अल्लाह अपने इन पैगंबरों को ज़िंदा रख सकता है, वो अपने एक वली इमाम मेहदी अलैहिस्सलाम को भी इसी तरह से ज़िंदा रखकर दोबारा उसे इस दुनिया में निज़ाम अदल के क़याम के लिए ला सकता है।
किस वजह से उनको इस स्टेट में रखा गया है?
इस वजह से इससे पहले जो 11 इमाम थे उन्हें कत्ल किया गया, उन्हें जहर दिया गया, तो अल्लाह ताला ने इमाम मेहदी को उन अफराद के जुल्म जोर से बचाने के लिए, महफूज रखने के लिए उन्हें गैबत में गुजारा।
बिल्कुल जैसे असहाबुल काफ की कहानी,
जैसे असहाब कहफ को सुला दिया, जो अल्लाह सुला के महफूज रख सकता है, वो अल्लाह जिंदा रख कर भी अपने बंदे को लोगों के लिए हुज्जत करार दे सकता है।
वहाँ पर हुक्म दिया गया कि सालाना लोग जो है इस गार की ज़ियारत को आएँ, इसलिए कि ये अल्लाह के मुक़र्रबीन हैं।
Finally, it was time to start the climb to the sacred cave known as the angelic realm. Where the Malangs come every year believing it to be their HU AKBAR, to their Kaaba and the home of their Prophet's beloved daughter, Fatima. Since returning from Sevan 10 years ago, I have been secretly consumed by the idea that Adam, Shiva, Jesus, Ali, and Lal are the same being. This would also mean that Eve, Shakti, Mary Magdalene, and Fatima are also the same. As I made my way up the mountain, I could not help but remember that Mary Magdalene too spent the last years of her life in a cave in France. Like the Malangs, the Christian underground sects and secret societies, the Knights Templar and the Freemasons have preserved her secrets which have now become part of popular culture. With books like the Templar Revelations and the Da Vinci Code revealing some of their doctrine. Before the Malangs, the yogis of Sevan, the devotees of Shiva, used to make the same pilgrimage to an ancient Kali temple, also in the same cave. Kali was one of the aspects of Shakti, the wife of Shiva. As is Durga. Durga is always seen riding a lion. Interestingly, Ali is called the Lion of Islam, while Jesus is called the Lion of Judah. Hindu merchants used to trade in Mecca, and ancient Vedic texts refer to Mecca as the place where Allah, the Mother Goddess, was worshipped. In Sanskrit, Allah means mother. She was the wife of Shiva. I realized there were just too many similarities to be a mere coincidence. Could it be possible that a holy family existed and woke up every 300 years, like the sleepers of the cave? Prophet Muhammad was instructed to clean the Kaaba, the house of God.
God gave this house to Abraham to be a sacred place. Worship no other gods but him and cleanse his house.
And restore it to its original practice of his ancestor, Abraham, who had later joined Hajra and Ishmael to establish the house of God in the very same place where Eve had found herself alone on earth after being banished from heaven. Adam eventually finds her and is instructed to build the house of God around the Hajr Aswad, or the sacred black stone, which in pre-Islamic pagan times was worshipped as the very same female aspect of God. That stone and an image of Mary and Jesus were the only two things Muhammad preserved while he destroyed all the other idols. From a Muslim perspective, the biggest sin is shirk, or to give partners to God. Tawheed, or the oneness of God, is the basis and foundation of the religion. However, within God are two qualities which are manifested as opposite yet complementary attributes. They correspond to the names of God, which are balanced between Jamal and Jalal, or the masculine and feminine. As I continued to make my way up this steep and very difficult to reach path, I wondered, why would Fatima leave her home and come to this desolate and difficult to reach place? Well, unless she needed to hide.
वो सारे जमा हो गए देंगे ना टपकते थे वो जो निशान है ना
The Baloch are a tribal community with a strict sense of honor and have traditionally and till today been people who have provided refuge and security to those needing to hide. There is a long tradition of members of the family of the Prophet escaping persecution to find refuge here and in other areas of Pakistan.
वो ज़्यादा खतरनाक है, ये ज़्यादा खतरनाक है। वापसी मैं वहाँ से जा रही हूँ, मैं यहाँ से नहीं वापस जा सकती हूँ। मारूं के मैं यहाँ से तो वापस जा ही नहीं सकती हूँ। ऊपर पता नहीं किस तरह से आई हूँ। वापसी में तो सारा नजर आएगा नीचे का।
As I continue onwards, I'm filled with fear. This was a really scary climb. I try to imagine for a moment how she must have felt if this story was in fact true. The life of Fatima, according to the Shia and Malang sources, was not a happy one. Although all Muslims revere her as Khatun-e-Jannat, or the Lady of Heaven, and agree that she is the foremost of all women, few know the details of her life after the death of her father. While he was alive, the Prophet gave her the kind of respect which he gave to no one else. He stood up every time she entered, gave her his seat, and asked her to finish his sermons. He called her Abiha, meaning mother of her father. And explained that she had come from the angelic realm and she was conceived during the Miraj, or his night journey to God. Where he was offered a heavenly fruit, the seed of which was Fatima. Finally, I had reached the top of the mountain and was entering the angelic realm, where I met the keeper of the realm.
ये जो गार है इसको कहते हैं लाहूत का
मकान यही है जो गार है। हाँ। क्या ये बाहर है?
वो तो मदीने में थे ना, मक्का में थे, मदीने में थे।
नहीं है ना, इधर कोई मौला अली का न जमीन पे है न आसमान पे है। मालिकों के जुल्मों जो किया मुसलमानों ने, हाँ। तो फिर वो कहाँ जाएं? कोई रहने का ठिकाना तो है ना। अच्छा, ये मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा के लिए अल्लाह ने घर बनाया। काबा जो है तो अली के लिए बनाया। अल्लाह को कोई घर ही नहीं है, वजूद नहीं है। घर है तो इधर है, इधर है। अल्लाह का घर इंसान के वजूद में है। जब शादी करवाई मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा से अली मौला को फातिमा ज़हरा से, तो फिर वो घर उसको दे दिया। ये फातिमा तेरा घर है। ये फातिमा तेरा घर है। मेरे पास तो और कुछ भी नहीं है। ऐसे तो ज़मीन आसमान मेरी है, पर मेरे पास माल नहीं है। ये अल्लाह ने मुझे घर बना के दिया। ये फातिमा तेरा घर है। अभी तुम जानो तेरा काम, आगे जाके कोने में जाके पूरी।
There is a famous saying of the Prophet, Fatima is of me and I am of Fatima. Whoever upsets her upsets me, and whoever upsets me upsets God. Well, it appears she was very upset after the death of her father. The Shias have preserved a detailed account of the injustices she had to suffer at the hands of her father's closest companions. The revered first 3 Khalifas of Islam. She blamed them for denying her inheritance, the Garden of Fadak, for not consulting her in the nomination of the first Khalifa, for not accepting her own husband Ali as the rightful Khalifa, and for trying to force them to accept their rule, for which she was a very vocal opponent. Things came to a climax when they tried to force her hand and threatened to burn down her house. That is the time she is said to have incurred fatal injuries that lead to her death. She is buried in the middle of the night in an undisclosed spot so that her tormentors cannot find her grave and pray for forgiveness. The whole event is shrouded in mystery and secrecy. But could it be possible the secrecy was for another reason? Could it be she did not, in fact, die? But instead was brought here to hide. What was very disturbing to me was why women like Fatima and Mary were marginalized, their voices silenced, like the concept of the divine feminine in Judaism, the Sakina. Why were they banished? The Sakina, according to Jewish scriptures, is the indwelling feminine face of divinity, or the female aspect of God, who is in exile and will only return when it's time for the return of the Messiah. Sakina is also the spirit which is mentioned in the Quran as having descended upon the Prophet Muhammad and the believers when they made an unarmed pilgrimage to Mecca and were faced with an opposing military force of the Quraysh, outraged at the Muslim rejection of the 3 powerful Meccan goddesses who they had thought to be equal to Allah. Instead of fighting them, the Prophet struck the Treaty of Hudaybah, and the Quran describes the scene. He it is who sent down the Sakina into the hearts of the believers, that they might add faith onto their faith. Fatima disappeared from Mecca and reappeared here, which is a time when a new kind of spirituality was born. Those that followed it were called the Malamatis, or those that tread the path of blame. They rejected the world of power and politics, position and status, and would go to the extent of incurring blame on themselves to remain humble and hidden. That was the mother movement of the Qalandars and Malangs, who till today are waiting for the true leadership to emerge and be established, the leadership of the Mahdi and Jesus.
Yes! लगता है कि पता नहीं कुछ करके आया इंसान. हाँ? लाल परी कुछ बताओ ना.
क्या बताएं? देखो
क्या करके आए? क्या फर्क हुआ है? क्या हमने हासिल किया है? क्या मिला है हमें?
हमें दरे मुस्तफा मिला,
हाँ.
दरे हैदर मिला, दरे हुसैन मिला, हसैन मिला, अली असगर मिला, अली अकबर मिला, 5 तन पाक मिला, 12 इमाम मिला, 14 मासूम मिला, 72 तन शहीद मिला, 1,24,000 पैगम्बरों की महफिल में आए।
वाह, सही है।
और हमें क्या चाहिए? हमको खुदा मिल गया ना, जो खुदा मिल गया बाकी क्या चाहिए?
ये बहुत मुश्किल है खुदा मिलना, आसान नहीं है।
ये दुनिया झूठा है मगर ये दुनिया सच्चा है। ये दीन ही है, हमारा इस्लाम है। और इस्लाम इंशाअल्लाह ये यहाँ से उठेगा, यहाँ से इमाम मेहंदी ज़हूर होएगा और खैबर फतह करेगा। और 40 साल उसने अपना हुकूमत में बादशाही करेगा
इंशाअल्लाह।
नारे हैदरी,
यारी,
अल्लाह लाल कलंदर मौत, या अली।
But how could the Mahdi resurface from here when he's supposed to be revealed during the HU AKBAR at Kaaba? But that is exactly what the Malangs claim this place to be. Believing that the Kaaba moved here with Fatima because she was driven out of Mecca. The importance of the Kaaba is that it is the Qibla, or the point of concentration and the direction that all Muslims anywhere in the world turn towards 5 times a day for prayer. But the Qibla itself was moved once before. Baitul Muqaddas in Jerusalem was the first Qibla. At its center, the celebrated Dome of the Rock. At that time, the Jews and Muslims shared the same Qibla. But God, in His wisdom, chose to change it and warned in the Quran. Fools among the people will say, what has turned them from their Qibla, which they had? Say, the East and the West belong only to Allah. He guides whom He likes to the right path.
Imam Mahdi, that his mission to collect whole world must have a side. He is not going to be like ordinary person. He must carry some power, extraordinary power, just supported, heavenly support, that people may run to him. He is going to show them what is real power in Islam. Islam now is sleeping. On awakening, they should know what is miraculous power in Islam. I'm waiting for that.
Meanwhile, my teacher Sheikh Nazim has been waiting 10 years to introduce the Mahdi, which he says is his job. It has been 3 years since my last visit and 10 since I have been coming here. He says that the Mahdi should reveal himself this year. Otherwise, we will have to wait another 7, and he cannot wait much longer. He fears that neither can the world. I had come to him to edit this documentary, wanting his support in this labor of love that has taken so long to complete. I filmed his last words to me on my phone's camera.
Try to make those people to understand what is Islam, which purpose just coming Islam. You must ask them what is wrong in Islam. May Allah send us someone, affected Imam Sayyidina al-Mahdi alayhi salam, to England to understand what is Islam. If not understanding, sword of heavens should take them away.
There is a final legend which speaks of the time when Hazrat Ali lay dying. He told his sons to put his body on his camel and to let the camel lead them to a place where they should expect a veiled being who will take the reins of the camel. The camel brought them here. The veiled being took the camel inside the cave, from where they disappeared. Could that veiled being have been their own mother, Fatima, waiting to claim the body of her husband? And like Mary Magdalene so many years before, preparing it for the resurrection. The legend concludes by stating that it is from this very place that the Mahdi will reappear. The job of the Mahdi is to unite the believers to receive Jesus, as it is actually Jesus who is the prophet of the time. And the one who will defeat the Dajjal or the Antichrist, to establish the kingdom of heaven on earth. But if Jesus is actually Adam, as is even alluded to in the Quran, when God says, referring to the Immaculate Conception of Jesus, in our sight, Jesus' likeness is that of Adam. We said to him, be, and he was. There is also a saying of the Prophet that Adam will come to earth many times. Then the story began on day one. God tells all the angels to bow to Adam. But Iblis refuses. His arrogance cannot accept that a creature made of clay can be superior to him. Although Adam seemed to remain blissfully unconcerned in heaven, God may have felt he needed to prove a point. And somehow bring Satan to his knees. Enter the other woman. Lilith, Adam's first wife, according to Jewish mysticism, leaves him to become the consort of Samuel or Satan. She returns to deceive Eve in the form of the serpent. She rules the world till this day, while Eve is blamed for mankind's downfall. Will Adam finally defeat Satan? And who will be his helper? Could it be anyone else besides the helper that God had made for him? A part of him, his other half, the one who has always been part of the story and the struggle. A really crazy thought was forming in my mind. Could the Mahdi be a woman? Is that the reason she had to remain hidden and veiled till the time was right? Could the wife of Adam, Shiva, Jesus, Ali, and Lal be returning to unify all believers and pave the way for the world to receive her husband? I guess only time will tell. My work is finally done. I have shared with you all that was shown to me. Will you allow yourself to be challenged? Most importantly, to question everything you have taken for granted? Or will you need to blame and persecute? I don't claim to know all the answers. Only God knows the truth. I do have the right to question, though, and so do you.